The Standoff at Cedar Ridge. It was one of those crisp November mornings when the frost clung to the grass, and every breath hung in the air like smoke. I'd been tracking a big buck, a real legend in our area, since the summer. Locals called him Ghost. He'd been spotted a few times, but no one ever got close enough to take a shot. That morning, I decided it was my turn to try. I parked my truck at the edge of the Cedar Ridge woods just before dawn. The forest was waking up slowly, the silence broken by the occasional rustle of leaves or the call of a distant crow. I'd set up a trail camera about a week earlier, and, sure enough, Ghost had been passing through this stretch of timber just before sunrise. I moved carefully through the underbrush, every step deliberate, avoiding snapping twigs that could give me away. My tree stand was about 200 yards in, overlooking a natural funnel where deer traveled between feeding and bedding areas. By the time I climbed up and settled in, the sky was starting to glow with the first hints of dawn. The woods came alive as the light grew. A squirrel darted up a nearby tree, and I caught the flash of a fox disappearing into the undergrowth. My heart raced at every sound, wondering if this would be the moment. Then I heard it, a soft, deliberate crunch of leaves to my right. I turned slowly, gripping my bow. At first, all I saw were shadows, but then he stepped into view. It was Ghost. He was even bigger in person than I imagined. His antlers stretched wide, each tine sharp as a dagger, and his body was a perfect blend of power and caution. He moved like a phantom, silently weaving through the trees, stopping occasionally to sniff the air. I froze, barely breathing. My heart was hammering so loud, I was sure he could hear it. Ghost paused at 40 yards, perfectly broadside, but something wasn't right. He lifted his head, ears twitching, as if he sensed he wasn't alone. The wind was in my favor, but I knew a single wrong move could send him bolting. I drew my bow as slowly as I could, my eyes locked on him. Time seemed to stretch as I lined up the shot. Just as I was about to release, Ghost turned, not to run, but to face me. He stared right at the tree stand, his dark eyes locking with mine. It felt like he knew. For a moment, we were both frozen in the stillness of the forest, caught in a standoff that felt like eternity. And then he bolted. I let the arrow fly, but it missed, slicing through the air where he'd been just a heartbeat before. I watched as his white tail disappeared into the brush, my hands shaking. I couldn't believe it. I'd come so close, and he'd outsmarted me. But you know what? That's hunting. It's not always about the harvest. Sometimes it's about the chase, the challenge, and the respect for a creature that's as much a part of the wild as the wind in the trees. Ghost was still out there, and as I climbed down from my stand, I smiled, knowing I'd be back.